Welcome to Michelle's Making. Are you ready for coffee, crafts, cooking, and cocktails? Let's get going.
Welcome and welcome back to those of you who are returning. I really do appreciate the thumbs up, sharing with family and friends, subscribing. I definitely need to build my subscriber base, but we'll look forward to that this year. It is National Bobblehead Day, Tempura Day, Old Rock Day. That's a tribute to the oldest rock we have, the planet Earth. It's also Orthodox Christmas Day. So for those of you who are celebrating that, a very Merry Orthodox Christmas Day. It's a very important day here at our family, and that's because it's my beautiful granddaughter Brantley's birthday. So I think she's 12 years old today. I had to think for a moment there. I can't believe she's growing up so quickly. She is the youngest in our family, and I miss those days. I keep telling her to stop growing, but it's not working. Well, folks, I'm going to enjoy my coffee, and we're going to make it a great day, and let's get going.
Today we're making spaghetti squash. This is a very easy dish to make. In fact, the most challenging part is cutting the squash open. You'll need to cut it in half lengthwise, but to do that you have to cut off the stem portion so that you can get the knife through it, because like I said, this is a challenging part. Once you do get it split open, you'll have to scoop out all the seeds and membranes from the inside. And I used a large flat spoon to do this and just kind of scooped around the edges and then a big scoop underneath to get it all out. Just a little more scraping to get the last of the seeds and the membranes out. Do this to both halves, and then you'll use a shallow baking pan. I line mine with foil for easy cleanup. Sprinkle with olive oil. Next, you'll season to taste. I use some pink Himalayan salt and also some adobo with complete seasoning. I did add a sprinkle of garlic as well, that I somehow have deleted the footage on that. But whatever seasonings you typically like on your vegetables. Turn skin side up, using a fork, puncture a few times on each squash, and bake at 350 degrees for about an hour, depending on the size of the squash. You want to be able to squeeze the skin and feel some softness that it gives away to. That's how you know it's done. And then you scrape using a fork, and it comes out, sometimes it comes out a little more firm, where it actually looks more like spaghetti, but it does have that spaghetti-like appearance. Just scrape it all into a dish. You can add additional seasoning, which I typically do, add some more seasoning. It's also great topped with Alfredo sauce, but I was trying to watch my calories a little bit here, so I just added some additional seasoning. But that's all there is to this, really. Here you can see I just added some table salt and pepper, and I also added a little garlic. So maybe that's where I added the garlic. I can't really remember, to be honest with you. But that's all there is to it, except to enjoy our delicious spaghetti squash. Today I'm working on a blessing sign to hang under my TV and help cover up some of the cords there. But I had a frame, and again, it's a pretty good size and difficult to get in the camera range, but I began by removing the glass and setting that aside because I wasn't going to use glass for this. But you can see here, it's a rather dark wood frame. And at first I was going to paint it using my Rust-Oleum chalk paint in linen white. I was going to go for the white. And then I decided I didn't really like that. So I just took a wet paper towel and wiped it off. And when I did that, the white stayed in the little nooks and crannies of this frame, and it gave it kind of a pickled wood appearance that I absolutely love. Just another example of a craft evolving into what it's supposed to be. I turned the frame over, and using a piece of burlap that I had in my stash and my staple gun, I attached it to the frame. This piece of burlap did have a discoloration in the center, but with the stenciling that I'm going to do, I'm strategically placing it so that it covers the majority of it. In the end, you really don't notice it. Once the burlap is stapled to the frame, I used my scissors and trimmed off the excess. Next, using removable vinyl and my Cricut machine, I cut out the stencil for my saying. Now, when you're using the Cricut and you're doing this, it's simple enough to make a stencil because you just weed out the reverse of what you normally would. If I were sticking the vinyl on there, I would have weeded everything around the letters, but for this, I weeded the letters themselves out. And then used transfer tape. I did print this all out in one piece, but I decided to cut it into 3 strips, the 3 different rows, because I thought that might be easier to get it centered properly onto the burlap and not have it ending up being just a mess sticking to itself. Sometimes when you're working with adhesive vinyl, in fact, most of the time, the most difficult parts of it are the weeding out the parts you don't need on the vinyl and then getting it transferred onto your transfer tape and off of your transfer tape. The stenciling process itself is fairly easy. You go very light with the paint, dab straight up and down so that you don't get paint leaking through your edges, and then go back and forth over it to darken it up a little bit. But a small amount of paint on your sponge and a small amount of paint as you're dabbing it across, and then just go back over it, even if you do 2 or 3 times to get it as dark as you like. You can see here I'm going back over it a second or a third time in some areas to get it where it's dark enough. To me, anytime you do stenciling or any kind of paint taping to do paint is so satisfying when you peel that tape back or the stencil back. It's just amazing when you see the finished product. Just a little more weeding to get out the centers of the letters. I really love this saying because I think maybe it's a way we could improve how we live our lives. But there you have it. That's our blessing sign. Well, it's time for an adult beverage. And today I have a little concoction I call a Florida Breeze. I'm using a tropical flavored rum, Kinky Blue, and triple sec, along with 2 ounces of pineapple juice. I'll put the complete recipe in the description box. But everything goes into your shaker just for mixing purposes, not necessarily to chill, but I do chill mine by using ice in the shaker because your cocktail glass will also have ice. So even if you didn't add ice to the shaker, your drink will get chilled with ice in the glass. But there you have it. Only thing left is to enjoy the Florida Breeze.
Well, folks, that's it for another week. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to take time to stop and smell the coffee. Make it a great week, and I'll see you next Friday.